Mangwanani Malelepo Vukenjani Kaikla Svanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Berry and Diana Master. How are you, Diana?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine as I can.
As fine as you can.
Yes.
It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday.
The retrograde is coming to a close.
Mummified alien bodies were found in Mexico.
I mean, that's a topic for discussion.
Truly is, as long as they don't interrupt the Rugby World Cup.
All right, now let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. India's Kerala closes schools, banks in several villages after Nipah deaths. Libya flooded city of Derna buries its dead in mass graves, and more than 70 crocodiles on the loose after flooding in China. We'll also be bringing you news from Zimbabwe with Talon Gore a little later on in the show. Stick around, we'll be right back with our top stories right after this.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there. For more information, contact events@nmh.com.na.
We start off in India's Kerala as authorities have closed down some schools and offices and declared more than 7 villages as containment zones in the southern state after it recorded 2 deaths from the rare and deadly brain-damaging Nipah virus. An adult and a child are still infected and in hospital, and more than 130 people have so far been tested for the virus, which is transmitted to humans through direct contact with the bodily fluids of infected bats, pigs or other people, an official from Kerala's health ministry said on Wednesday. We are focusing on tracing contacts of infected persons early and isolating anyone with symptoms, said the state's health minister Veena George, who told reporters the strain of the virus was being examined.
Now, an update on the Libya floods. Flooded city of Derna buries its dead in mass graves. Bodies recovered from a devastating flood which wiped out parts of the port city of Derna in eastern Libya have been buried in mass graves. At least 2,300 people died when a tsunami-like river of flood water swept through Derna on Sunday after a dam burst during Storm Daniel. A mechanical digger worked in a cemetery where victims wrapped in body bags and blankets were buried together. With 10,000 people reported missing, the death toll is expected to rise. Mohammed Kamati, a volunteer in Derna, said rescue workers were still searching for victims. We call on all the young Libyans, anyone who has a degree or any medical affiliation, to please come and help us, he told Reuters news agency. They have a shortage of nurses and they need help. Some aid has started to arrive, including from Egypt, but rescue efforts have been hampered by the political situation in Libya, with the country split between 2 rival governments.
Now, authorities in southern China have launched an operation to find more than 70 crocodiles that escaped when floods hit the region in recent days. A typhoon brought sustained heavy rains to southern China last week. Deluges around the city of Maoming in Guangdong province caused a lake at a commercial crocodile farm to overflow, with more than 70 crocodiles escaping, local media reported. According to the reports, 69 adult crocodiles and 6 juveniles were on the prowl near the village of Pengkun. A video published by the state-backed Beijing News showed emergency responders in red uniforms searching flooded fields in rescue boats. Other images showed several 2-meter-long crocodiles lying on the road, their jaws bound with red tape. Crocodiles are still in the water, and several government departments are working to catch them, state-affiliated China National Radio reported.
Now in South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa has formally fired advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane a month before her term as public protector was due to end. On Monday, 79.5% of the National Assembly voted in support of the Section 194 committee that found Mkhwebane incompetent and guilty of misconduct and unfit to hold office as head of South Africa's watchdog. In a letter to Mkhwebane, Ramaphosa said the Constitution states that following the conclusion of the Section 194 process, he must remove the public protector from office. I therefore hereby inform you that you are hereby removed from the office of the public protector in terms of Section 194(3)(b) of the Constitution on the grounds of misconduct and incompetence, the President said. Mkhwebane on Wednesday morning posted Ramaphosa's letter online stating, "This injustice sadly perpetrated on Steve Biko Day will be legally challenged in review proceedings."
Now, a ban on wearing the face veil in Egyptian schools announced by the government this week sparked debate on social media, with critics condemning it as tyrannical. The Education Ministry's decision, announced in the state-run newspaper Akhbar Al-Yom on Monday, applies to both state and independent schools. It bans the niqab, an all-encompassing black garment that leaves only the eyes visible and is worn by a small minority of Egyptian women. The decision leaves optional the hijab, the headscarf worn by a much larger number of women. The choice must be made according to the wishes of the pupil, without pressure or coercion from any party except her legal guardian, who must be informed of the choice, the decree said. Critics took to social media to lambast the move, accusing the government of meddling in private matters. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we're joined by Talent Gore in Zimbabwe.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Now, yesterday, President Emmerson Mnangagwa in Zimbabwe reappointed Constantino Chiwenga and Kembo Mohadi as his deputies following his re-election in the August 23 disputed elections. This is interesting because previously Chiwenga was the only deputy, if I'm not mistaken. I stand corrected should need be. And also with regards to Chiwenga, is he also still the leader of the health ministry? Talent Gore, please give us more.
Africa, good morning. So President Emmerson Mnangagwa reappointed Vice President Constantino Chiwenga as his vice president, and he also reappointed Kembo Mohadi as his second vice president. Apparently in 2021, Kembo Mohadi he retired from work he resigned apparently from work due to a scandal that was circulated, whereby it was believed that he was having mistresses, or rather private affairs, in his office. So he then resigned, and President Emmerson Mnangagwa has reappointed him as his second vice president. And also Constantino Chiwenga, he was reappointed as his vice president, but he's no longer the head of the health ministry, as President Emmerson Mnangagwa appointed a new minister for the health ministry. President Emmerson Mnangagwa also named his new cabinet, and in his new cabinet there are also two of his relatives. Apparently there is Kuda Mnangagwa, who has been appointed as a deputy minister for the finance ministry. Will be deputizing Professor Mthuli Ncube, who has always been the minister of finance. And also there is Tongai Mnangagwa, who is the deputy minister of tourism. So this has sparked a lot of debate in Zimbabwe. People are saying that why is he appointing his relatives, in particular his child Kuda Mnangagwa, to be the deputy minister of finance? What credentials does he have? Where has he served before? We only heard of him now because he has been named the Deputy Minister of Finance. So people want to know these, have questions in regards to this. He also appointed Kirsty Coventry as the Minister of as the Minister of Sport. She was the Minister of Sport before, and she has been reappointed as the Minister of Sport. And the citizens are also asking, for the past 5 years, Kirsty was regarded as the worst minister. So why was she reappointed as the Minister of Sports? And journalists asked the president why he saw it fit to reappoint Kirsty Coventry, and he said that if anyone has questions or if anyone doesn't want Kirsty to be the minister, that person has to be president and they can choose who they want to appoint. As far as the president is concerned, Kirsty Coventry has done well and she deserves to be reappointed as a Minister of Sport. So these are some of the topics and some of the questions that people have in regards to the new cabinet that was named on Monday.
All right, I'm just going to add a couple of thoughts to that before I swing it over to Diana yet again. So, starting with Chiwenga. Chiwenga was not only the vice president, he wasn't not only the health minister, but he was also credited for ushering in Mnangagwa's reign during the military coup. So some political analysts are considering this as a clipping of the wings, so to speak, because now he has a shared role and he's no longer the head of the health ministry. And with regards to Kirsty Coventry, kudos to her for once getting medals for Zimbabwe during the Olympics, but currently the Zimbabwe national football team cannot qualify to AFCON because of maladministration in the sports. We won't even talk about other sports outside of football. So that may be the reason Zimbabweans may be questioning the president's decision, but apparently, according to the president, he knows better. Diana?
Okay, now moving right along, Zimbabwe records spike in teenage pregnancies with over 4,000 girls below the age of 14 giving birth. These are quite devastating numbers, Talent.
Yes, apparently over more than 4,000 girls aged between 10 and 14 years fell pregnant and were booked to deliver babies at health institutions countrywide between 2019 and 2021. A government survey on teen pregnancies has revealed that the economic meltdown has triggered a sharp increase in child and teenage pregnancies countrywide. Zimbabwe recorded close to 350,000 teen pregnancies on girls between the ages of 10 and 19 in 3 years. And according to the National Assessment on Adolescent Pregnancies in Zimbabwe, 0.2% of maternity bookings in Zimbabwe over that period were for children under the ages of 15. Blessing Nyagumbo, the United Nations Population Fund adolescent sexual health reproductive specialist in Zimbabwe, told journalists that the country recorded a steep increase in pregnancies, and there were about 1.7 million pregnancies recorded in Zimbabwe, and out of that, 21% happened amongst adolescents that are between the ages of 10 and 19, and that translates to around 350 pregnancies. So this tells us there how devastating the rate of teenage pregnancies in Zimbabwe is. So the government has said that they will do whatever it takes to make sure that they eradicate, or rather the number of teenage pregnancies and teenage marriages are lower than that, because that is really, really devastating to think that girls between the ages of 10 and 19 are falling pregnant and they are having to drop out of school to take care of their babies. It is quite devastating.
Truly, truly horrific. Now, moving on to your last story. Some might say that Grace Mugabe and Auxilia Mnangagwa have nothing in common. They would have said that right up until the last week, when, from my understanding and from what seems to be your story, First Lady Auxilia Mnangagwa, just like Grace Mugabe, was also conferred an honorary degree. Tell us more.
Yes, President Emmerson Mnangagwa on Friday conferred another honorary doctorate on First Lady Auxilia Mnangagwa in recognition of her philanthropistic work in the country. The president, who is the chancellor of all state universities, universities in the country, kept his wife with an honorary PhD in law from the University of Zimbabwe during the graduation ceremony in Harare. And also in December 2022, Mnangagwa conferred an honorary doctorate in development studies from Zimbabwe's Open University on his wife for a contribution to charitable work in the country. The president's wife runs the Angel of Hope Foundation, which describes itself as a non-profit organization whose mission is to support the most vulnerable in society through providing access to healthcare, social services, education, and economic empowerment initiatives. In August, President Emmerson Mnangagwa also presented his wife with a gold award, also in recognition of a philanthropic work. So we can tell that First Lady Auxilia Mnangagwa and former First Lady Grace Mugabe, they are both the same. They are cut off from the same cloth, as they were both doctors. Their husbands conferred them with doctorates. Former President Robert Mugabe conferred Grace Mugabe with a doctorate, and now we can see President Emmerson Mnangagwa conferring his wife with lots and lots of awards and doctorate degrees.
Yeah. You want to make sure you get that detail right, talent. Wow, here I was buying flowers for my fiance. But
other people are giving their wives
doctorates. Let's not get into the credibility. Let's just look at the logic for a second. All right, when you see a non-profit organization or philanthropic work, the idea is to address a gap. Now, if she's addressing a gap in social health and her husband is responsible for the government that's supposed to be providing said social health, I'll leave the answer to you and other Africans. Thank you very much, Talent Gore, for bringing us the news stories from Zimbabwe.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
So it's good having you on Africa Good Morning. Just as good as it would be to have an honorary law degree. Another reason to marry the right people. See you after the break. Heading into economic news, urbanization projects in Mozambique show that 60% of the population, projections rather, show that 60% of the population will be living in cities by 2030, according to the Minister of State Administration and Civil Service, Anna Kamoane. Speaking in Maputo yesterday at the Steering Council session to prepare the national urbanization policy, Minister Kamoane explained that there would, however, always be communication between rural and urban areas. We found that all these issues safeguarded in this preliminary document that we will continue to debate so that in the end we have a properly harmonized instrument.
Meanwhile, in South Africa, insurer Momentum Metropolitan Holdings has delivered double-digit profit growth thanks to a continued drop in COVID-19 mortality claims and the positive effect of higher interest rates on the cash reserves. The Centurion-headquartered insurance and investment group reported a more than 16% rise in attributable profit to 4.4 billion rand in the year to end June on Wednesday, with the group upping its total dividend a fifth to 120 cents per share.
All right, stay with us as we head into the indicators just before the sport. We start off in the world of football as Argentina rested the GOAT Lionel Messi, but they still made light work of Bolivia as they won 3-0 to claim their second victory of the 2026 World Cup qualifiers on Tuesday. Angel Di Maria took over as captain in Messi's absence and shone, providing 2 assists before halftime. It's 2 games in, we knew it was important to get 6 points for what's to come, the 35-year-old Di Maria told Argentine broadcaster TYC Sports. To be handed the captain's armband by the best player in the world is unbelievable. I'm very proud. Chelsea's Enzo Fernandez made it 1-0 after half an hour when he met Di Maria's cross with a close-range finish to score his 3rd international goal. I'm a bit choked. The altitude feels a lot, but I adapted well, Fernandez said after his first match in La Paz, the world's highest capital city.
Now, the Confederation of African Football broke its contract with Bein Sports because it is owed nearly $100 million by the Qatari media group, a source has told the BBC. On the 1st of September, CAF unilaterally ended a 12-year contract worth $415 million and which ran from 2017 to 2028 with immediate effect. While Bein has stated it will take all necessary legal steps to challenge and overturn the cancellation, CAF has accused the broadcaster of breaching its contract and instructed its lawyers to recover the outstanding payments. Bein owes CAF $98 million and they have refused to pay for nearly 2 years, a source close to the matter told BBC Sport Africa.
And Serbia made a victorious start to their Davis Cup Finals group stage campaign by beating South Korea on Tuesday before 24-time Grand Slam champion Novak Djokovic arrives for tougher tests ahead. Djokovic will join the team in Valencia shortly for their last 2 Group C ties against Spain and the Czech Republic later this week. Having claimed the US Open crown on Sunday to equal Margaret Court's record haul of 24 major singles titles, the 36-year-old's teammates ensured that there were no hiccups in their opener as Dusan Lajovic downed Hong Seong-chan 6-4, 7-6-3 and Laszlo Djere battled past Kwon Soon-woo 4-6, 6-2, 6-2 to give Serbia an unassailable 2-0 lead in the tie. Those have been our sports stories. Your highlights follow after the break.
eTicket, your online ticket solution for events and event marketing, bringing you ease of mind and making sure that your event gets out there.
You're watching Africa Good Morning. If you're just joining us, here are the news highlights. India's Kerala closes schools, banks and several villages after Nipah deaths. Libya flooded city of Derna buries its dead in mass graves. More than 70 crocodiles on the loose after flooding in China. By 2030, 60% of Mozambican population will be living in cities.
Whatup2.com, DSTV 285 and GoTV 25 is where you can find us every single morning, as well as all Namibia Media Holdings platforms. From Diana Master and Ashwin Berry, Surya Jaganaka.